Governments deny it. Militaries deny it. Even the mainstream media denies it. But they are here, and they've been here for a very long time. The Mutual UFO Network has been on the front lines uncovering the truth since 1969, and now we're sharing that truth with you. Welcome to MUFON What's Up with your hosts, Katie Page, Christopher DePerno, and Tara Diulis, exclusively on the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. Wondering what's up? So are we.
What's up, everybody? It is Tuesday night, and you're listening to MUFON What's Up Radio, the show that says discovery starts with curiosity, and curiosity starts with MUFON. Brought to you by KGRADB.com. I hope you go to their website and check out all their great content on there. As always, we're endorsed by MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network, always asking that all-important question, are we alone in the universe? I am your host, Katie Page, the Colorado MUFON State Director and Mars Administrator. Tonight, we have a very special guest. We have none other than Preston Dennett in the house. I've got to meet Preston a few times at conferences in the past. And Preston's, he's the author's author. He's written over 30 books. I have one right here. I can't wait to get to talk with Preston and dig into all his experiences and that. So, really quick, I want to give a few announcements and reminders that we have several conferences coming up. The first one coming up is March 10th through the 12th. It's the UFO Expo held out there in Roswell. I know Bill and KGRA and a few of us will be out there, including myself. So I hope to see you guys out there in Roswell. It'll be a great time. June 2nd through the 4th is Contact in the Desert. They're in Indian Wells, California. Go to their website and you can buy your passes now for that fantastic conference. They have over 50 speakers at Contact in the Desert, and that's going to be magnificent. Now you can get your tickets and reservations for the MUFON Symposium coming August 24th through the 27th. You can go to MUFONsymposium.com to get more information about that great event. And again, several of us here will be there, and we hope to see you guys all out there as well. I would like to bring in my super fantastic, wonderful co-host, Tara Diulis. You see Tara also on Sky Tour Live here on KGRA. Hi, Tara. How you doing?
Hi. Hey, what's up, Katie? What's up, everybody? What's up?
It's been quite a week, hasn't it? It's been a crazy couple weeks, and I hope we can talk about maybe some of these balloon shoot downs and UFOs in the news left and right. So
interesting. Yes.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
So interesting. Let's bring on Chris DePerno. He is the state director for New York. He is also on the ERT, and Jerry and Jenna. Hi,
What's
Chris.
up?
Hi,
Hey, it's really great to be here. We got a great guest tonight, Preston Dennett, and we're going to talk about those balloons because I know exactly what the cause of those balloons are.
Awesome.
As a matter of fact, Jerry's a little under the weather, and I'll explain that. Jenna's MIA, and I'll explain that. But Jerry went on vacation last week, and he decided to give us a home movie of his trip around the country. He went hot air ballooning, and he wanted to do a little bit of a home movie. So I wanted, Jerry, I will show it. Relax. I'm just trying to present
So
it.
excited.
And so I will, further ado, Jerry and his hot air ballooning. Oh, I got to
get in the middle.
Oh, how funny.
Would you like to ride in my beautiful balloon? Would you like to ride in my beautiful balloon?
Oh, no.
No, they didn't. No.
Up and away,
Well, Jerry, I think your days of hot air ballooning are over. Don't you agree, pal?
You did get it figured out, Chris.
I tell you what, you're right. I'm never going ballooning ever.
Oh, my good buddy Jerry says, you know what, to the pilots, the Raptor pilots. You know, he says, I'm in a hot air balloon. What are you shooting me down for? Anyways, he's going to rest. We can't find Jenna. I think she's somewhere over Lake Huron, kind of doing the back pedal there, trying to get out of there. Anyway.
Oh, no. Oh, my gosh. That's too funny. Oh, my goodness.
And stuff. You notice the F-22 pilot, he had 2 UFOs on the side of. Usually they put pictures or flags of the, the country of they shot down. He's got 2 aliens. They're so
that. I saw that
know.
on Facebook. I thought that was so clever and so funny. But I hate to ruin the mood and bring down a somber thing, but the UFO community lost one of its own just the other day. And Robbie Graham passed away, and he was a gem of a man. He was so dearly beloved by so many. So I just wanted to send out condolences to his family out there, and we will miss you, Robbie. So Not good news there.
Yes. And just remind everybody, just remember to tell your family and your friends that you love them every time you see them. We all need to hear that, and we all deserve to hear that. And you just never know. So my condolences as well. So well, let's start out. I have a great meme for you this week. And it's inspired from my trip to the phone store because I got a new iPhone.
Ooh.
So,
and I got a new computer. Everything's breaking. Uh-oh. Did we lose Tara?
Tara, did we lose you?
Distance
I
plan.
think we lost
Oh, there she is. There she is. Okay, let's start that again. Q2.
So our basic long distance plan covers calls made not only on this planet. Oh, I'm going to start over again. It's my braces. Our basic long distance plan covers calls made only on this planet. So if you want to phone home, I'm afraid that would be extraterrestrial. So, it might have lost it seeing it 3 or 4 times, but it's all good.
It's all good there.
It's all good. That's a cute one.
It's all cute. And so I was thinking about all the fun stuff. And I was thinking back when E.T. was around in the 70s. Do you remember all the chambray shirts we used to have with patches and embroidery on them and stuff?
Right. And jeans. We'd put them on our jeans and our jacket, everywhere.
Everything. Any square inch and stuff. So I started looking up some patches, and I found a few cute patches for you on Etsy. There are hundreds of them. And
I think I have that one.
Do you? Here's our peace sign alien. These would be fun just to put anywhere you want on your clothes and stuff. This one is a little alien pilot. You see him on the controls in front of his window and stuff. They have, look at Katie. You do have that one. That's awesome. Exactly.
My backpack.
Wow. That's so fun. Your backpack has a lot of little buttons and stuff on it too. Those are really fun. I remember looking at those. So we also have the UFO patch, and then there's a fun UFO with the sun. This is a little nice and colorful, I think. I do like this one because it has the saguaros, which are just right outside my front door here.
Pretty.
Isn't that kind of pretty?
Yeah.
And of course, ufology. And here's a little cow being abducted. I like his little spots on it.
Like the pink on that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Here's a cool little alien in space. I kind of like him. This is a fun little hilarious one, I think. Watch, he's going to get your ray gun out. We have to also have the cats in the UFO. I mean, no patch collection would be complete. And then there's a neat alien holding the earth, and maybe he's protecting us there, which gives me some hope and love and peace. Because most of the time that's what's out there is hope and love and peace. And all these awesome patches and millions more can be found on Etsy. So search for it. You'll find anything.
I love that. I need a whole new backpack now.
You do, or just keep adding to that one. Just, it'll never fall apart because it's patched together, right? Our paranormal pops for us today are these really cute aliens and UFOs, and you can order these in all different flavors, and salted caramel and chocolate and vanilla, and they'll work with you gluten-free as well. Yummy stuff on paranormal pops.
I love those. Those are my faves.
Aren't they fun? And they taste so good. Also, just important to remind everybody of our new sponsor, Fuel Up. It's the nutritional hydration system for everyone who participates in life, right? So there's 3 ways.
Good.
It is good. There's 3 ways to do it. You can wake for motivation, like morning, play for concentration, daytime, and rest for rejuvenation and good sleep support. And You can visit fuelup.gg/MUFON for our special offers, which is like free shipping and stuff. And it's really fun. I recommend you all give it a try.
Can I just say this, Tara? I
Yes,
just tell
please
you,
do.
I don't know if it's the Fuel Up, but ever since I started taking it, the black is coming back in my hair.
It is. I noticed that you're looking
Yeah.
good,
Look at
Chris.
that.
Yeah, I
Endorsement.
was thinking. Yeah, I don't. It's amazing stuff, and it doesn't spike your blood sugar. At least not with me. It
It's
hasn't
good.
spiked my blood sugar. So, guys, I tell you, if you like feeling good in the morning,
Yeah.
fuel up
Gives
with
you
that.
energy. Gives you
It
energy,
is.
that's for
It
sure.
has those bio-nutrients in it that's special for them, and that's supposed to
Right.
help all your cells and just feel really good. So go ahead and try it. So it's fun. Hey, Chris, what do you have for us today? What else is going on?
Buckle up.
I know.
The
I'm
news.
ready. I'm waiting.
The news. Well, after Jerry's vacation, we had to look around for some news.
Oh.
But we got some interesting stories here and stuff like that. Let's get to story number one.
Okay.
I always like these famous people that come out, and it's really good that they come out and talk about aliens and stuff. So Besti Akar, who came third in the Miss Turkey in 1995, she was Miss Turkey. Now,
Oh, pretty
don't take that as an
beautiful.
insult. She was actually from Turkey and became Miss Turkey in 1995. Said in a YouTube program that she uses high energies to speak to aliens, the Virgin Mary, and her dad, who died in 2015. A former beauty queen has claimed that she is able to speak to her late father and even aliens, with the latter warning her of the great famine that will hit the earth. 49-year-old conceded there will be people who say that this girl has lost her mind, but said that everything is possible. Besti, whose dad is Turkish, singer-songwriter Kayanahan, said that we have communication with energies of different dimensions. Now, folks, I'm not making fun of this because I actually believe there are energies out there. Okay, but here where we go. We call it the Galactic Federation, actually. We have also contacted galactic alien friends. There are messages from them as well. Asked what the aliens have told her, she gave a worry answer for the future of the planet. They say a lot. I can tell you that the world is facing a great famine, she explained. The whole world will experience serious water-related problems. It's also about energy production. She said there will be severe issues with heating, energy, food, in New York. Folks, come to New York and you'll experience all that. Anyways, Besti explained that she does meditation and energy work to achieve such communication. We don't actually die. There is no death. Our spirit is internal, she added. As long as you allow communication, volunteer, close your eyes, and that's it. Well, I have closed my eyes several times, and nothing really has come to me, but who am I? Due to her wild claims, Besti is aware that some may not believe her and think that she has lost her mind. They're emphasizing lost her mind. The former
I don't
beauty
think that
queen
about all of us from time
I
to
know
time.
we all have at one time or another.
Well, speak for yourselves. The former beauty queen added, there may be those who say that this girl has lost their mind. I'm just telling you that, but I have lost my mind too reading this story. This communication was not seeing my father directly in front of me, but perceiving his energy. The energy that came to me was that it was not right for him to be like this. Everyone understands as much as possible as they can. I know everything is possible. Amanda, let's roll that video before we talk about the energy.
That there have been face-to-face meetings between United States officials and visitors from other star systems, period. No equivocation. And so with that assurance, and my own conviction based on what I already knew, I said, I'll go to the meeting. And at the meeting, I said that UFOs are as real as the airplanes flying overhead. And that was it.
And it's been reported in a couple interviews that you've mentioned there's a federation of alien species. Do all of the alien species kind of work together, or is there warring species that war with each other?
Well, I only know about the Galactic Federation, and I don't know much about it, so I shouldn't talk about it. But they are concerned about what's going on in the world. And they have been working through individuals. They'll pick out a few individuals and visit them or talk to them telepathically or send information to them by channeling. I have a very close friend who was writing a second book right now with channeling from a species called the Basidas. Very few people have heard of it. They have a deal that they won't interfere. But I think that there's also a loophole if things get bad enough that they would make exceptions. But we can't count on them. I mean, maybe we can count on them, but we shouldn't count on them because they say, you clean up your act. You're in charge. It's your planet. And if it comes to a dead end, it will be because you let it or made it a dead end. Because it wasn't necessary and you had everything going. It's one of the best planets in the whole universe. And everybody covets the fact that it's so good, and you have been destroying it.
Now, for those who don't know Paul Hellyer, he was the Minister of Defense for Canada. So he was read into probably the highest top secret stuff that Canada had, probably a lot of stuff with NORAD in the United States and stuff of that nature. So, Katie, what do you think?
I've never heard of that alien species before that we had this deal with, and I hope that if things get bad enough, they would intervene. So what do you think, Tara?
Yeah, I hope as well. I agree with you, Katie. And I really want to know if they really are out there. You know, It seems like all these credible people talking about it, it makes you think it's very possible. It's exciting.
Right.
Well, you just have to think of this guy who's the Minister of Defense. Why would he ruin his credibility all those years on a hoax? So you have to think of that. But think of this, though. This is could be a very nice planet. There's a lot of beautiful things on this planet.
Yes, sir.
And there could be species that have said, hey, listen, you guys are screwing that place up. You know, get your act together, which would make sense to me.
Right.
All right, let's get on to the second story because I like this one. Anything with North Korea, I'd love to make fun of them. Anyways, not the people. The people are nice. It's the government over there. North Korea blames alien things near border with South Korea for COVID outbreak.
Oh,
North Korea claimed on Friday.
Knew that was coming eventually.
Well, he's going to blame it on anything. And God, Kim Jong-un, their fat boy. North Korea claimed on Friday that the country's first COVID outbreak began with patients touching alien things near the border of South Korea, apparently shifting blame to the neighbor for a wave of infections that hit the isolated country. Announcing its probe results, the North ordered its people to vigilantly deal with alien things along the demarcation line and borders. According to the state media, KCNA, an 18-year-old soldier and a 5-year-old kindergartner who contacted the unidentified materials in a hill around barracks and residential areas and quarters in the eastern county of Kumgangan, something like that. I don't speak Korean. In early April, shows symptoms and later tested positive for the coronavirus. The investigation results showed that several people coming from the area of Ipalaio-Ringa in Kumgangan County of Kawanwu Province in the capital city. I don't know. Just let's say North Korea. Okay, in mid-April, were in fever and a sharp increase in fever cases was witnessed among their contacts. The state media said that KCNA said all other fever cases reported in the country till mid-April were due to other diseases, but it did not elaborate. North Korea has been battling its first outbreak of COVID infections, declaring a state of emergency in May after years of enforcing tight restrictions to prevent the virus from entering the country. Yeah. In July 2020, the North leader, Kim Jong-un, declared an emergency and imposed a 3-week lockdown on Kasagong something like Song Town. North Korea reported the total number of fever patients recorded since late April to be 4.74 million in Pyongyang, which has been a daily announcing the number of fever patients without specifying them as COVID patients, apparently due to the lack of testing kits. So they don't have the testing kits there. You know what? You can't believe anything that Kim Jong-un says, folks. But anyways, Amanda, roll that tape.
One of the more terrifying concepts in science fiction is the idea that some kind of extraterrestrial contaminant, a microorganism or virus analog of alien origin, could somehow be delivered to Earth and then move on to infect life here. The most famous example of this within science fiction is perhaps Michael Crichton's 1969 novel, The Andromeda Strain. But this concept is also deeply rooted in human history, where different groups of people coming into contact with each other caught diseases for which one group had immunity and the other did not. But there is an important distinction to make there. Those incidences, which still happen today when uncontacted or isolated tribes of humans come into contact with our global civilization, happen because we're all still Homo sapiens and are genetically very similar across the entire species. It's worse. If you were to encounter a covert alien civilization that hides itself from you while it studies your planet, it could in principle engineer viruses or nanotech to infect you for whatever purpose they want. This is something we do. Biological weapons are one side of this, but there is another, and it involves the viruses again. One of the most exciting areas of medical research today is the idea of altering viruses to cure disease. This started with vaccines and weakened viruses, but this research stems from a rather curious observation from over 100 years ago, during the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic. Doctors noticed that people that had cancer that caught and survived the influenza outbreak sometimes showed that their tumors temporarily shrank, and their overall condition improved for a time. These curious observations were sidelined due to the lack of understanding of genetics and viruses, and the treatment direction went towards surgery and chemotherapy, but the idea was not entirely forgotten. In recent years, a new avenue of cancer treatment has been developing, virotherapy, where altered viruses are used to target and kill cancer cells directly, or better yet, provoke the immune system into a response against the cancer, opening the way for a potentially complete cure or very effective treatment in freezing the progress of the disease. One way of doing this is to have the virus deposit a chemical marker on the cancerous cells that the immune system recognizes and then goes on the attack. This therapy is already being used for cancers such as melanoma and shows further great promise in many areas of oncology. But back to the question of alien life. Close aliens may know of this kind of technology as well, and might use pathogens engineered specifically for the lesser technologically advanced species they've come across to do good or ill depending on their aim. Again, there's no evidence of this ever having happened here. Our diseases look fully natural and Earth-like, and if something were here, it probably would have acted dramatically long before now. But the idea in principle is plausible. As an aside, we could do the same thing, again in principle. Say for a moment we found that Proxima b was habitable but not inhabited by any kind of life. One way of tweaking and terraforming a world long-term is molecular nanotechnology. You essentially infect a potentially suitable world for colonization with nanotech, perhaps aided by specialized viruses.
Yeah. So, I joked around about North Korea and Kim Jong-un, but here's something that's serious. Suppose we do make contact and we do have them coming to Earth. Can we catch an alien virus? Do they have colds? Do we have to be prepared for such a thing? That's important because think about how dangerous we could be to them with our viruses, with our colds and stuff.
Like
what
the
we
movie.
think is a common cold. So what do you think, Katie?
Yeah, you just said it. It works both ways. We could be dangerous to them and vice versa, and perhaps that's why they kind of stay away. We're kind of germy people, and that's always a concern, right? So, yeah, I don't know.
Well,
what do you think, Tara?
Tara, are you a germy person?
I think those germs have been coming to the earth since the earth has been formed, and it's nothing new. I think viruses have been coming forever. So, yeah, I think maybe some of the things we have might be alien. We don't really know that, but I think part of it probably came from space on meteors and little things that enter our atmosphere.
Right.
So,
Right.
so all
Now-
of that could happen. So,
One last thing before we call it quits. The balloon. Everybody's been talking about all this thing that's being shut down. I want both of your opinions. Katie, you go first. What do you think is going on in the skies?
Well, at first I was, not necessarily thinking they're extraterrestrial, but keeping the door open to the possibilities because they had different shapes, different altitudes. I think one was at 40,000, one was at 20,000. And I know balloons are kind of regulated pretty often through the FAA. I mean, weather balloons are. And the fact that, one of the balloons shut down the instrumentation on the aircraft. But that being said, I'm leaning more towards terrestrial. What do you think, Tara?
you said it well. I agree with you, all that you said. I don't think it's from aliens. I think it's something man-made.
I don't think they'd be shot down so easily.
First of all, if it was aliens, somebody up there doesn't know how to use the controls and get out of the way. That's number one.
Right.
Number two, none of the missiles had warheads on them. They did not have an explosive charge. They were simply to rip into the balloon, hit it, rip it into the balloon so they could take what there is. Now, I will tell you, because I was in the service, I was an intel sergeant, and I did battlefield briefings to my commander. And I will tell you, even back then, we had electronic warfare that they would jam us, we would jam them. They would try to get signals intelligence about us. We get signals intelligence about them. So I will tell you that it's not uncommon for our stuff to get jammed up and even their stuff to get jammed up. So it's a very dangerous game that the world is playing right now. So just keep tuned to everything else.
Very scary. Do you think, Chris, that these are tied into at all what's been happening today? I mean, I know there's been some explosion across our country.
If you want me to take the time and tell you, we're going
to skip case of the week and Bob.
Okay,
will do
well,
it
here's
next
a very
week,
scary story. In 2019, the Chinese have declared war on us. They said we're coming because they want Taiwan in the worst way, and they truly believe that Taiwan is their property and nobody's going to stop them from doing it. So they have been building. If you look at what they've been doing, they have been building an Armageddon type of military function that will take us now. Now, they know for a fact that if they do something really, really horrendous like 9/11 or Pearl Harbor, Americans have always gone to that call and said, we're going to pummel you into submission. And it would be, we would devastate them. We'd probably take a lot of hits because China is really built up now, but we would blast China to smithereens also. And that's what I think the Chinese are trying to avoid is they say, let's take them low key. Let's intercept their food supply. Let's intercept their infrastructure, their power grid, the border. Let's overrun it, get some terrorists in there. Let's take homegrown terrorists that are in there like Antifa and fund them. The cartels now run 40% of Mexico and control the border. And the cartels are in cahoots with China. China is giving them money, giving them weaponry, giving them stuff to make fentanyl. So now you have all the cartels working for China as a military force on our southern border. Now, what happened today is that the northern border is being overrun. All through the northern border, illegal aliens are now coming in. They're being flown in to Canada from Mexico, flown in to cross the border on the north. 800% higher illegal aliens on the northern border. Folks, all these train wrecks, all this stuff, I don't believe in coincidences because you can see a pattern. There are patterns of train wrecks with highly toxic stuff that can damage farmland for years to come. And the farmland that, I'm telling you, look at the farmland and stuff. The farmland that's being destroyed is not Chinese farmland. It's still independently run and stuff. So I hate to bring you bearer of bad news, folks, but things are going to start getting wrapped up here in the next 2 years.
That's scary. Really scary stuff.
Yeah, I really made everybody's night.
Right. Thanks.
Thanks, Chris.
No, it's good to be aware. I mean, we don't want to have our heads buried in the sand. And, I'm not a big prepper person, but it doesn't hurt to have at least 3 months, of supplies for all sorts of different emergencies. But it's scary times right now. And certainly I agree with you, Chris. I don't believe in coincidences and, the Chinese spy balloon and then, 3 after and what's going on there. Something is up, something suspicious. And of course, we're not always going to hear the truth. So, thank you for that scary but important news.
Wow. Just want to make your day.
Yeah. Well, let's lighten things up again, don't you think, Tara?
Yeah, let's do.
Let's bring in our guests.
Awesome.
And we'll get to Case of the Week and Bob Spearing next week. Because I think that was just important to touch on what's been going on this last week. But Preston Dennett, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to bring him on here. So he began investigating UFOs and the paranormal in 1986. Wow. When he discovered that his family, friends, and coworkers were having dramatic, unexplained encounters. Since then, he has interviewed hundreds of witnesses and investigated a wide variety of paranormal phenomena. He is a field investigator for MUFON, a ghost hunter, a paranormal researcher, and the author of over 30 books and more than 100 articles on UFOs and the paranormal. Several of his books have been Amazon UFO bestsellers. His articles have appeared in numerous magazines, including Fate, Atlantis Rising, the MUFON UFO Journal, Nexus, Paranormal Magazine, UFO Magazine, Phenomena Magazine, Mysteries Magazine, Ufologist, and others. His writing has been translated into several different languages, including German, French, Portuguese, Russian, and Icelandic. He has appeared on numerous radio and television programs, including Midnight in the Desert with Art Bell. Love Art Bell. Nice. Coast to Coast and the History Channel's Deep Sea UFOs and UFO Hunters. His research has been presented in the LA Times, the LA Daily News, and Dallas Morning News and other newspapers. He has taught classes on various paranormal subjects and lectures across the United States. Oh my goodness, Preston, are you a busy guy or what?
Wow.
Welcome to the show, Preston. Oh my gosh.
Thanks, Katie. Nice to see you again.
Yes, great to see you. Say hi to Dolly. And I would like to kind of just let's talk about what happened in 1986 that kind of spurred all this. Obviously, you have a drive, dogged drive to find answers. So what happened in 1986?
Yeah, I'm obsessed. That's definitely true.
Aren't we all? We're all obsessed.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not anything I was looking for. Really kind of the opposite. I didn't like the subject. I thought anyone who saw UFOs, and I am so sorry, but I thought people who saw them were on drugs, lying, idiots. I hate to say it, but that's not what I thought. I really did. I mean, I kind of bought into the Blue Book Air Force line that anyone who sees a UFO is either hoaxing, hallucinating, or misperceiving. Which, of course, is not true. I found out the hard way. I remember the day exactly, actually. It was November 17. Captain Kenju Torochi was flying his Japanese commercial airliner over Alaska and had a major sighting. He and his crew, of course, saw 2 large walnut-shaped UFOs, larger than their commercial aircraft, paced their plane for, I think it was almost an hour. Showed up on radar. I mean, it's a big case. I'm sure you've all heard of it.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, the news report was very tongue-in-cheek, very jokey, kind of just made fun of this guy. But it intrigued me because I remember my brother, Mark, my older brother, had said he'd seen a UFO some years earlier. I think it was about 5 years earlier, maybe 7. And I remember he came running into the house. He was so excited. I was probably around 14 years old or so, 15. And I just didn't believe him. I don't think anyone in my family really did either. Mind you, I have 5 brothers and sisters, including him.
Yeah.
So we were all, yeah, whatever, Mark, shut up. UFOs aren't real.
Oh, siblings.
Yeah, well, I feel bad now. to say the least. But seeing this picture of Captain Kenji Torochi, it kind of struck a chord with me. I thought, this guy is throwing his career away by going public, which turned out to be true, by the way. He was grounded for years.
Wow.
And it just interested me enough to ask Mark again what he thought he saw.
Right.
And he's looking at me like, what do you mean? I did see it. I'm like, well, just tell me. And he was like, okay, if you're ready to listen. And he described this incredible sighting. Long story short, it was a metallic disc with colored lights, a dome on top, totally silent, treetop level, and he chased it for 15 minutes down Reseda Boulevard.
Oh, wow.
In Southern California with his two friends, passing other cars who were chasing it.
What decade would have this been in?
Late 1977, 78, thereabouts. So, could have been 1980. I wrote it down. I should know that. It affected me so much.
Wow.
But yeah, his two friends were there, Phil and Greg. And he's like, well, if you don't believe me, ask them. And I believed Mark. I mean, it was clear he saw something. I'm like, aliens, really? I don't know. So I did. I called Phil and Greg, and they described the same thing. And that's what kind of broke the dam. I started asking others and found out that I had several family members, friends, coworkers who had not only seen UFOs, but had missing time, saw Grays face to face, were chased by UFOs, taken on board.
Wow.
Yeah, it knocked me over. It really did. Wow. I was upset for a year, and I bought every UFO book I could find. I joined MUFON in, I think, 1988, so not long after.
Yeah.
Took their field investigator test, which wasn't easy. I'll tell you, that was a hard test.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
You have to study for that.
Yeah, it was a take-home test. I thought it was
take your time.
I really did. I'm like, a take-home test, come on, how hard can it be? But it was hard. Photography and meteorology. The UFO history part I breezed. I did, because I had every book at that point.
Right.
I joined every UFO group. I was attending conventions. I started interviewing people, recording their interviews, going to UFO sighting locations and so forth. And started writing articles after a couple of years. After about 10 years, I'd written some 30, 35 articles.
Wow.
And was going to write another one about healing cases. And found like 30 very quickly because I had interviewed someone who had one. And so I dug deeper and found 100, and that became my first book. And I've been cranking them out.
Here we go. UFO healings.
You have the first book, Tara.
I love it.
Look at you go.
And maybe
item, by the way.
It's wonderful. And it's, if I can ask you a question about this, it's remarkable in this book. You talk about cases where there's chemicals that have been applied to people, or substances, ointments, or thin, like spider web type lasered lights type things that have gone and done these miraculous healings. And I know we'd all love to hear about some of that, but I'm wondering, do you think this technology that the people in charge of this planet, do we have that and it's not shared with other people? I'm just curious if you think we might have that available, or someone might.
Yeah, well, that book did go out of print. So, and I kept getting cases. So now I have some 300 documented cases. That one has 100. So I reissued a new book because, the answer to your question is yes. Of course, we all know about Roswell, but that's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of UFO crash retrievals.
Right.
It's not just Roswell. It's not just 10 or 20 of them. It's, hundreds. And if you are familiar with UFO counts, there's a strong medical theme that runs through them. The most common thing people will describe as being physically examined. Healing is a consistent feature. I think that's well accepted and established now. I've got cases from pretty much every major researcher out there. And from what I understand from the accounts of a few whistleblowers, not a lot, we do have some of this healing technology, some which, little handheld things which can stitch up wounds, like Star Trek.
Nice.
Another one that was described was this little sort of instrument, a handheld thing. It looks like a jewel, the guy said, which slides over your body and can detect any tumor.
Preston,
So, yeah,
are you
we
saying
have
that
something
this
like
is stuff that we have?
Yes, in military
goodness.
custody, being used in a very limited way. It's not publicly revealed by any means.
And
So I
you
will
think this
say,
is reverse engineering stuff?
as far as I know, it's not so much reverse engineered. It's just equipment that a little bit of it pulled off of UFOs. I don't know if they reverse engineered it.
I understand we have a bed that I guess is supposed to scan your entire body, pinpoint what's wrong with you, and actually through frequency. Have you ever heard of healing through frequencies? And have your cases involve frequency healing? Because that's something that I'm starting to hear more about is frequencies in healing through frequencies.
Yeah.
To a certain extent, I have heard of the so-called med beds. I don't have any evidence of those. But I will say when people are taken on board a craft, the healing is usually done with lights. They have an understanding of the electromagnetic spectrum that far exceeds our own.
Have you any experience or stories about these blue orbs? Because I've heard both of these blue orbs can be healing orbs and also can harm. What is your opinion on that, Preston?
Never heard of a harmful orb.
Oh, you haven't? Okay.
Not in my research, no.
Oh, good. Okay.
What about the blue orbs as far as healing? Have you had a lot of stories with that? And can you tell us about it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but just quick to go back to your other question. Vibrational healing does occur. Sound is used sometimes, medicine. Sometimes it's hands-on healing. And yeah, I have heard of orbs healing. I interviewed Jim Schaefer, who was suffering from cancer. And he is a lifelong experiencer and was filming these orbs going around his house and actually filmed one as it went into his bedroom, came towards him, and moved into his chest. And he had a cancerous tumor on his neck at the time. Diagnosed, he sent me his medical records. He was due to go to an operation in about a week, but woke up the next morning and his tumor was gone. And he was very upfront with his doctors. Yeah, told them everything. This is a really well-verified case. Has been researched by, I think, Kathleen Marden and others. But at any rate, he did go to the doctor, and they're like, well, we can't find the cancer. There does appear to be necrotic tissue. We'll do the operation and remove that and let you know. Yeah. And yeah, the cancer was gone. They removed the necrotic tissue.
It's like a form of light therapy, isn't it? I mean, when they use these orbs.
Yeah. I talked to another lady who was suffering from chronic depression, and she had a large yellow orb come into her kitchen and healed her of depression, which is interesting to me. I have 3 or 4 other cases of people who were healed of, suicidal tendencies or ideation. They were suicidal. And one guy was struck by I think he was struck. He says a big red light came over him, filled up his vision. He was quite sick. He was coughing up blood. He was very depressed, having a lot of problems with his girlfriend and relationships and his job. And after this, his medical problems cleared up. He no longer had depression. He said he became very spiritual, started having dreams and premonitions, started becoming very interested in, spirituality in general. It changed him physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually.
That's so... Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry, Kate. I was just going to ask, are there people that, are there any cases where people have asked for healing and received it? And what are the circumstances under those?
Yeah, there is. It's a small residue of cases, but with, a database of 300, it does turn up in about 5% of the time. So it's not super common by any means, but it has happened. I mean, there was one guy who found himself on board, and he asked them, this is from Bob Teet's book, West Virginia UFOs, contactee by the name of Daniel had an impacted wisdom tooth, and he asked the ETs to heal him, and they did. There's the case of Jim Law in Gainesville, Florida, another lifelong contactee. ETs showed up. He's like, hey, if you're going to take me, why don't you heal this hernia I have, which was fully diagnosed, by the way, and he was going to have an operation. And they said, this is almost a direct quote, we know the condition of which you speak, and we will repair it. And they did, with a little handheld instrument. Zip, 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 gone. And he asked them, I thought this part was a real interesting end note. He says, "Why are you taking me?" And they said, "We are interested in your genetic potential to live a long time."
Oh.
So I thought
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, his grandfather was 106. So yeah, there are other cases. A lady had cancer in her breasts, no history of encounters, prayed to God, angels, and found herself on board a UFO. Got a few cases like that. One lady had total renal failure, prayed to God to heal her, and little brown beings, little short, squatty, brown-skinned beings came and massaged her abdomen. She says she was going in and out of consciousness. Woke up the next morning, was able to go to the bathroom after 3 days of not being able to. Went back to the doctor, who was absolutely astonished. And she told everyone, "Well, I think it was angels," even though she kind of knew it wasn't. And it was a month later, or 2 months, that she was pulled on board. It was unequivocally a UFO. I mean, there was a table, metallic, beings around her, rounded room, the details we hear often. And she described an instrument I've heard many times, which is where it's a curved little sort of metallic plate, which they place over your body, and it displays your inner organs in full holographic living color. They said, "Here's your kidney. Look, your kidneys are healthy. Don't they look good?" And she says, "Yes, they do." And they showed her liver. And they said, "This is your liver. Do you see all those black spots? This is not good." She says, "Yes, I see them." They said, "Your liver is unhealthy. You need to stop drinking Diet Coke. It's damaging your liver."
Yeah.
Yeah, they give dietary advice.
That and alcohol. That'll do it too. So Preston, you bring up an interesting thing I would like to kind of move into here. And you had mentioned that, with these contacts and with these healings, that people become more spiritual. They have more paranormal things. All these different things start to open up for people, contactees and abductees. Did your brother Mark experience that after his sighting, or his friends or your family members? And how do you think that's all intertwined and connected?
Gosh, no one has ever asked me that before. Mark.
Well, yay.
He ended up marrying my sister-in-law, Christine Kisara, who's the artist for a lot of my books. She's had encounters. She's deeply spiritual. And yeah, he's always kind of been that way. He is a very light, bright person. He did find this little weird thing in his arm. This was a year or two, or maybe even a little longer, following his sighting. And I wonder if this was more than a sighting. Because I've learned if you're within a couple of 100 feet of an object, it's likely more than just a sighting.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I would say that that's true. I ended up taking Mark to the doctor, by the way, another MUFON field investigator who was a doctor. And he went, "Whoa, oh my God, I want you to have x-rays. This is a foreign body." But Mark didn't want to do it. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to push him. But my nephew did have a sighting and had a humanoid come into his bedroom when he was a little boy. Every time I see him, I make sure he remembers that. And he ended up, having a lot of that sort of interest in out-of-body experiences and that sort of thing. It's definitely a byproduct of contact. Almost without exception, contactees are profoundly psychic. It's a two-way street. I think ETs are interested in people who are psychic already. But almost without exception, people.
Some people don't want implants removed, so I get it there with your brother. Like, I mean, right? Have you found that to be true? That some people just like leave it alone?
I've heard that.
Yeah, and that would be my recommendation, honestly. Yeah. And I have good reason for this, because I did talk to a lady I'll call Wendy, and she was being implanted, and she's asked them, "What are you doing? What is the purpose for this implant?" And they said, "This is to boost the, what did they say? No, this is to measure the levels of pollution in your body." And I started to hear other accounts along those lines. This is to monitor your vitals. This is to boost your immune system. And recently, I put out a book called Symmetry, which is about a lady by the name of Dolly Saffron, who's had long experiences, no hypnosis, most extensive case I've ever investigated. So she was filling in a lot of the blanks and connecting the dots for me. And I asked her about implants, and she confirmed it. She's like, oh, yeah, that's most of what they're for. I mean, there are a few other purposes. They're not for tracking, though.
Oh, see, I always thought they were.
I'm curious, and Preston, I'm going to change it up a little bit because this is fascinating. And certainly this is the first time you and I ever talked. So thank you first for coming on the show. And thank you for bringing your vast experience. It's fantastic. I want to change it, though, because as much as they've healed, they've also injured. And I'm trying to understand the correlation that if they heal on one point, but yet they realize that if people get too close to their craft, hence our fighter pilots, or people have experienced ionized radiation and some other things, why the double standard? I mean, we have them doing such fantastic things to us by healing. Then on the same token, they realize that things that we encounter with them have done some terrible damage to us.
Yeah, well, I've certainly looked into it, and I'm interested in what cases you're referring to, because one that's often referred to as the Stephen Michalik case in Falcon Lake, Canada, and he ran up to a landed UFO. There's a few cases like this, and that Dolly actually described one of these cases where she was on board when a gentleman came running up to the landed UFO, and he was burned. They took him on board and healed him of it. The Betty Cash, Colby Landrum,
even
Vicki
Travis
Landrum
Walton,
case.
right? Didn't he say he kind of changed? He thought, he revisited his abduction and later felt maybe they took him on board to heal him.
Yeah, initially he had a pretty scared outlook towards it, but now feels that they saved his life.
They did.
If you look at the injury cases, and I bought John Schussler's book cataloging the injuries. He was, says, oh, here's like 400 cases. I'm like, well, let's throw out all the cases where someone was temporarily paralyzed. I wouldn't call that an injury.
No.
Okay.
What we do see sometimes is eye damage, or slight sensitivity. That is really quite common.
But we also see MRIs where Dr. Gary Nolan has done MRIs where they fighter pilots have developed white spots on their brains, and from their UFO encounters. There's been a lot of pilots. You don't hear about all the stories, but apparently more than what the Nimitz is all about, who have encountered crafts, and for some reason or another, they've gotten ill, they've been burned, and they have effects from what MRIs and Dr. Gary Nolan has studied. And he was actually given the MRIs and everything, and he says, yeah, there's something that is affecting these pilots or people who've had abductions or encounters. Not all of them, like you say. It's just it's a double-edged sword, because you hear about these wonderful things that you presented, Preston, but then you hear about these pilots and other people being injured. What's your take on that?
Yeah, well, if you're chasing a UFO and you're getting too close to it, that's kind of on you. I haven't gotten many cases really at all of injuries. I mean, I can only tell you what I have discovered in my own research with interviewing several hundred contactees who have been taken on board. And I can tell you that healing is definitely one of the main missions of ETs. This is why people are basically being examined. This is when the healing takes place. It can be very frightening for people, especially initially. It can be quite traumatic. But I will tell you, John Mack has healing cases. David Jacobs. I cornered Bud Hopkins because he never wrote about it. I asked him face to face, do you have any healing cases? And he said, yes, several. Most every major researcher I've ever talked to or researched has these cases. Philip Mantle, Michael Hesseman, Timothy Good, certainly, Barbara Lamb, Yvonne Smith, Tim Beckley, Edith Fiore, Ray Hernandez. I could go on. don't think that UFOs are here to hurt or scare or take over in any way. I really don't.
Preston, do you think that that's always been the case, or do you think that because the older cases you hear, it's more like they're doing scary things on the table? Do you think that maybe what they're doing has changed over the years?
No, not so much. I think what we're looking at is a media that's very fear-based. Mm-hmm. So a lurid, scary story often gets a lot of airtime, where someone who's like, they healed me and took me to the moon and had a great time doesn't get so much airtime. And also, let's face it, there is a government cover-up. There's disinformation and misinformation. There are very likely what we call MILABs, military abductions and mind control. There is a spin on this subject. Make no mistake about it. That is, I think, absolutely true. So we have to be very careful.
Right.
Again,
I can't wait to dig more into these, the MyLabs and that. We have less than a minute before break. So before we go to break, Preston, if you could just share with us what your latest book is, and maybe share where people can contact you and get a copy of some of your books, maybe if you have a website or something.
Yeah. Thanks, Katie. My latest books are, Symmetry, A True UFO Adventure, probably my favorite book I've ever written. I just put out Not From Here, Volume 4, which is all about the weirder, more unusual aspects of UFO contact. Oh, nice. You can get those on Amazon. You can also get them through my website. Just punch my name in. It should take you there. And I am obsessed with getting this information out there. Awesome. Unedited, just the facts only. I'm not pushing an agenda.
Right. And I love that you do. You're so brilliant at collecting all these cases and all this data and putting them into these fabulous books. So anyway, it is break time. More with Preston on the other side of the break.
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
MUFON is the voice of thousands of like-minded people who want to see change. We speak up against UFO secrecy. We engage governments and agencies around the world on the topic. We share information with the public through our journal, website, newsletter, social media, and even our own TV channel. When you join MUFON, you add your voice to the cause. Few things are more important in our time than understanding the UFO question. Join MUFON. Find your friends.
Are you looking to go on a faraway journey that is magical and mysterious, reaping on mystical legends? If so, then Mysterious Adventure Tours is perfect for you. Imagine a voyage to explore ancient mysteries of Ireland, haunted majesties of Scotland, or their chilling Birth of the Vampires in Romania. These small, esoteric getaways are limited and do fill up fast. So, go to MysteriousAdventureTours.com and book your trip soon.
You're listening to the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. We provide unparalleled coverage of trending news in the world of ufology, cryptozoology, and paranormal phenomenon. Whether you're watching our video live stream or listening to one of our audio programs, you are getting the best from world-renowned researchers and hosts, guiding you through topics the mainstream won't touch. Miss one of your favorite programs? no problem. Head over to the members area at kgradb.com for access to our massive library of award-winning content. Make contact, stay connected, only at kgradb.com.
All right. All right.
What's
Preston.
up?
What's up? Yeah. Let's talk about your new book a little bit. Tell us a little bit about what it's about.
Yeah, sure. I'm assuming you're talking about Symmetry. That's the one.
Symmetry. Yes.
Yeah. So it's called Symmetry, A True UFO Adventure. It's all about the lifelong experiences of a really wonderful lady by the name of Dolly Safran. She's got quite a resume.
Who is in chat, by the way. Hi, Dolly.
Yes.
Hi, Dolly.
Hi,
I saw
Dolly.
her there.
Hi, Dolly.
I got to meet Dolly in San Francisco, and we had a very interesting conversation. So,
Awesome.
yeah, can we talk a little bit about her experience?
Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
love
I
to hear
presented
it.
her case there. She's
Yeah.
really amazing. I mean, she was a nurse. She worked for the Department of Defense, has a number of other jobs, lifeguard, zookeeper, and so forth.
Fine.
But has had experiences her whole life. Didn't really wake up to them until about age 14, when she had a UFO come right down over her home in the Florida Everglades. And she saw little grays looking at her through the window.
Yeah.
And quite frightened her. She turned to dive under her bed. And that's the last thing she remembered. Next thing she knows, it's morning. She's waking up. And she's wearing someone else's pajamas. We're on backwards.
Oh, wow.
I've heard that before. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so
That would
she's like,
scare you.
at this point, she knew something was going on, and she vowed to remember. And boy, was she furious when she didn't. She went into the kitchen and asked her mom. And her mom did not like the subject and basically said, "No, shut up."
Mm-hmm.
But at that point, the radio came on, and they started talking about UFOs in that area, the Kendall,
Oh, wow.
Cleveland Mall area, where 2 police officers had basically been buzzed by a UFO. So 14-year-old Dolly is jumping up and down and getting hysterical. Her dad walks in and says, "Okay, you need to calm down. I want you to go to the bathroom, just meditate, really think about what happened." And so that's what she did. And this is when, great advice, because she was able to break through that wall of missing time, that amnesia, and remembered being taken on board. And what she remembered was really incredible. She was basically pulled on board by a beam of light where she met a tall gray alien that she called Mama. She recognized her. She now remembered having met her several times throughout her life. There were other little short AI grays there. She freaked out. She threw up. They cleaned her up, put her in a little contamination light shower, very much like Betty Andreasson describes in her book, and still was kind of freaking out. So they gave her a little tour of the craft, which is what they do, showed her her quarters. I've heard that from other people. And it's a long, drawn-out encounter. They pulled her up to the control room, we would call it the helm. They call it the place of movement. And sat her down in the pilot seat and took her to see, get this, the planet Saturn.
Oh,
and when I heard that, I'm like, wow, this is exactly what another contactee from West Virginia told me, Jay Gardner. Only difference was he was 12. Dolly was 14.
So young.
And this happened to Ray Fowler, by the way. Happened to, I think it was Leo Sprinkle. I've heard this from others. Not as unusual as you might think.
Right.
Showed her that, flew her on the rings and stuff. Gave her a little astronomy lesson.
I want to go.
I know, right?
I know.
Probably have, Tara.
Well, and that's how it all began. From that point on, she was a fully awake contactee. And long story short, they asked her, "How do you want to work with us? Do you want to work with us?" She said, "Yes, I would love to." They said, "What would you want to do?" And they gave her all these options. And she said, "I'd really like to learn how to fly the craft." So that became her mission.
Holy cow.
Also not unusual. It really isn't.
Is it like they say where you just sit and kind of control it with your mind?
Yeah, that's simplifying it, but absolutely, it is. Their technology is largely psychically driven. And this I've certainly heard from other people.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah,
Preston, I'm sorry, go ahead, Preston.
Grant Cameron, who you may have heard of, has recently put out a book called Sky Pilots, presenting some dozen or so cases of people who've had this experience.
Wow.
So this is quite common. And yes, they are flown psychically. And their ET technology is very much largely psychically driven.
Makes sense.
Well,
I'd like to get in because I'm fascinated by this subject because I haven't made up my mind on it yet. I know there's some stories out there that have been debunked, but I'm not convinced that it's not a hoax. I think there's part of it that's true. You mentioned MyLabs. I'd like to talk to you about MyLabs. What do you think MyLabs are? What are they used for? And what do you think is the most interesting story you heard about MyLabs?
I certainly do run into it occasionally. I think these are basically what we would call hoaxed alien abductions. And I don't like that word. Certainly Dolly won't use it. She calls herself a contactee. And a lot of people I've talked to don't like that word either. They prefer the term contactee or experiencer. But MyLabs is a real thing. I certainly heard about that early on in my research. I would say probably the most interesting case I have of that sort of thing involves a gentleman called Ramon. That's not his real name. He was, as a very young man, he was actually 17 when he joined the Marines, had to get a waiver from his parents, and ended up at Camp Pendleton. And that kind of made my skin crawl a little bit because I was starting to hear other cases coming out of there that weren't particularly pleasant. In fact, after I put out Ramon's story, I had a few people contact me saying they had some similar experiences. They hypnotized him, they drugged him, they made him, experience some stuff that he's not fully sure was real. I think he was a genuine contactee. So this is often what happens with genuine contactees. They're polluted, if you will, by having MyLab contact. And it's hard for me to say what the purpose is. I am not in the minds of the folks who are behind the cover-up and why they're doing it. I think it's largely greed, corruption, power, control, and preparation for what you might think.
What was Ramon's job in the MyLab? I mean, he was a recruit for the MyLab with the Marines. Did he ever tell you what his function and job was for the MyLabs?
No. They never really gave him a reason why they were doing this. They just sort of led him through it. He was very young. He ended up in Vietnam and later moved out of that into food service, actually, and couldn't take it anymore and left the service and became a welder. But yeah, I don't get a whole lot of those cases. I don't particularly find them that useful for getting to the truth of UFO contact.
Are there ways, Preston, to tell the difference between a genuine abduction and a MyLab or are things you can look for, let's say, on your body or the experience of itself that you can maybe tell the difference between one or the other?
Yeah, I think so. A genuine contact experience follows a pretty set pattern. There's always little unique details, but 80-90% of what people tell me, I've certainly heard it before. A genuine contact experience usually involves being pulled on board, physically examined, and at this point, it can go one of two ways. A person might react with absolute terror, fear, and at that point, they're usually rendered unable to move and will have missing time, and that's all they really remember. The only thing they remember is the ETs showing up, saying, "Don't be afraid, we won't hurt you," being physically examined and returned. But if beyond that, if they continue to have experiences, it usually evolves from there. They will have longer, more interactive experiences. But if someone doesn't react with fear, they usually do remember quite a bit of it, are not rendered paralyzed, and about 4 or 5 things happen. And this was already outlined by Thomas Bullard years before I got into the field. He collected some 330 cases and outlined this. And I'm like, wow, this is exactly what I'm finding out. People will be taken to the engine room, shown how the craft works, how they basically harness the gravity lines of our planet or use electromagnetics in some way. They will be taken up to the observation deck, shown the Earth far below. That's most common. Or perhaps the moon, perhaps another planet in our solar system, or just a star field. Beyond that, they're taken to the control room. Sometimes they're set down in the seat and explained how they fly the craft, and sometimes actually are allowed to fly the craft. And then at some point, this doesn't always follow the same order, they are given sort of a guidance counseling session, if you will. Talked about, how their life is going, what they're interested in. It often involves warnings of some kind, and this is very consistent from the 1950s onward, no matter if you're talking about grays or praying mantis or human-looking ETs or tall whites or little blue beings. People are warned first about nuclear proliferation. That is a big deal and almost always comes up. Beyond that, it's our warlike ways, greed and corruption, our aggression, pollution, and the destruction of our environment, and then usually some sort of spirituality. People are come back from their experiences feeling like they can do channeling, hands-on healing. That's very common. Healing is a big one. But astral projection, past life recall. In fact, in my book, Not From Here, Volume 4, I outlined some dozen cases of people who physically levitated following their encounter.
Oh my God.
It happened to Stephen Greer, Whitley Strieber. Jacques Vallée had a case, if you remember Dr. X, who was healed of a wound on his ankle and partial paralysis. He levitated twice. Bud Hopkins has a couple of cases. I started getting cases. So this is a genuine contact experience, whereas the My Lab is fearful and tortury and sadistic. I don't have any accounts of sadistic ETs intentionally scaring and going, I'm going to hurt you. I just don't have them.
I've seen My Lab, they talk about puncture wounds as like a stun gun kind of thing, or different marks on the body that would indicate something like that. Have you heard of that, Preston?
Yeah. I'm not an expert on My Labs by any means. I don't get a whole lot of those cases for whatever reason. I've only got like 1 or 2 reptilian cases, by the way, which I think is kind of weird, or Men in Black.
See, all these bad things stay away from you, Preston.
That's good.
Just a really quick follow-up question, then I know Tara had a question. Do contactees, are they ever shown hybrid children or anything like that?
Yep. That is very common. One of my first cases involved that. This is absolutely a thing. I got it well before Bud Hopkins, put out his book Intruders, which I think really sort of verified that. This is one of their missions, which is, according to the contactees I've talked to, the Greys in particular were having some problems with their genetics due to space travel and the gamma radiation, which caused problems with reproduction. So they're basically reinvigorating their genetics. The Greys are basically human. They have the same sort of genetics we do. This is what the contactees are telling me, and they've asked the ETs directly.
Wow.
I mean, Dolly talks a lot about this in our book. So yeah, that does turn up for sure. Pretty common, actually.
Preston, so kind of changing the subject a little bit, but you've also done a lot of research on USOs, or unidentified submersible objects. And what can you tell us about that? What did you find about that?
Yeah, that was another sort of area I was a little bit dragged into inadvertently, honestly. Because, at the time there wasn't a whole lot of stories about USOs, unidentified submersible objects, but I started getting them right off the bat. Probably, I think, because I was based near the Southern California coast and started getting reports of these objects coming in and out of the water. A USO is, of course, a UFO. It's the same thing. These objects do have the ability to go into the water and out of the water and travel under the water at high speeds. So it is basically the same thing. But the Southern California coast, for whatever reason, has an inordinately large amount of these. I mean, I've started collecting them. I put a chapter in my book, UFOs Over California, about ocean-going UFOs. And that got me on the History Channel's Deep Sea UFOs 1 and 2, which brought in a flood of reports. So I found myself sort of the go-to guy for USOs and got a lot of cases from all over the world, but over 150 from off the coast of California.
Do you think there's a base there?
I've certainly speculated on it. I can't prove it by any means. They're there in large numbers, I can tell you that. If not a base, there's a parking lot.
Well, they're fascinated by our water, so I mean that just goes to show you. Preston, we've gotten so many people in chat here that are just joining in, so I've got to be considerate and ask them some of their questions here, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Because they're really involved in stuff. So one of them asked, and it sounds like she might have been an abductee. I'm trying to find it here. What is this story with sky pilots, dream pilots?
All right. I think that's a reference to Grant Cameron's book, which I believe is called Sky Pilots, if I'm correct, or something along those lines. Those are people who have been taught by the ETs how to fly the craft. And that's why I so love Dolly's story, is because she really explained it in detail.
Now,
I asked about USOs, by the way, and she says, they go down there because they're so hot, and this is a great place for them to basically open up a light gate or cool off their craft, because that's how they travel interstellar distances, not through wormholes or portals or anything like that, but by generating huge amounts of electricity and basically going interdimensional.
Wow.
Whereas they're traveling interplanetary, they use batteries and this sort of thing. And they can get very, very hot. And that's why we see plasma fields surrounding these craft, which generate angel hair, which you may have heard of.
Yes,
So,
we had a Angelia Stats that said, Preston, some of these people that I've talked to, I've interviewed all kinds of abductees, and the majority of them said that they've been downloaded with something, and they've had dreams. I'd like you, if you would, what do you think about these dreams? It sounds to me like it's a warning to civilizations that we better straighten ourselves up, because some of them. Well, what do you think of the downloads that people say that they've been downloaded with?
Yeah, it's funny. I've heard this many times. This is a way that they transmit information very quickly. ET contact communication is almost always telepathic. Not every single time. People have heard them talking, the Greys and what have you, but usually it's telepathic, and they will send you a thought ball, I guess you might call it, and boom, you have to unravel it. And I've heard many people describe this. And mind you, I myself have had a number of sightings. I ended up having one involving missing time. I started having a lot of UFO dreams. At some point, It became clear to me that, okay, my gosh, I have become a participant in all this. So I did have, at one point, a download experience. So I know how it feels now when people describe this. This is a way of transmitting large amounts of information in a very short time.
Do you know what the download was, Preston, that they gave you?
I sure do, because
I want to hear it. I'm dying to hear that one.
We all do.
Yeah, I was very curious about the identity of the Greys, their origin, because people are saying, oh, they're interdimensional beings. I'm like, well, that's not that useful. Who isn't interdimensional? We are. All beings are. We have life after death. It didn't really explain things to me. And I'm like, well, I don't think they're time travelers. Because, yeah, you can march out a few cases that point towards that, but don't think they're from our future. There's no really, in my research, certainly that's not supported. What I'm thinking there is just people like us, but from other planets. But who? What is our relationship to them? So I was just obsessed with this question and trying to get answers to it. And had laid down in bed. This was the middle of the day. I just laid down. I wasn't sleeping or anything. And bam, I fell into kind of, well, not really fully, but sort of like a trance, because it hit me real hard and images started coming at me real fast and very clear. And what's so interesting to me is I've never had this ever. So it was real shocking to me. Have never had it since, by the way. So this is just the one that I will underline that, say that I'm aware of, because there could be more. But what I saw was an image. It started out of a man, a normal looking human man with hair, brown hair. And he looked just like a guy, a normal guy. And then it flipped to a second image, and the guy had lost all his hair, and he looked burned. I mean, it looked like he had radiation burns. And a third image, and his facial features were starting to melt away. I guess that's not the best word to put it, but were damaged. His nose was starting to, become severely like burnt off in his ears. And,
my gosh.
And then boom, 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 boom. It flipped like a deck of cards. And it was shocking because I watched a human species sort of transform into Greys.
Wow.
And the message behind it was what I would later hear from many contactees was, you are us, we are you, we are one, we share the same genetics. Greys are in their essence human, as are basically all ETs. They just dial up their genetics differently. We all are humanoids.
Are we experiencing time travelers?
They can travel in time. There's no doubt about that.
Well, if Greys are human, humans are Greys, then it's only logic that what you're explaining, and it's very good. I mean, it makes a lot of sense that they can be time travelers coming back to extract DNA from us, to extract stuff from us in order to, maybe we did have a big nuclear war somewhere along the line, because a lot of abductees have had dreams about nuclear war and stuff. And maybe they are coming back to rebuild the planet with DNA. I mean, what do you think, Preston? I mean, this is fascinating.
Yeah, I don't think so. Again, I don't have any evidence that they're us from the future. There's a couple of cases where people march out, but when I see a couple scattered cases, I put them on the back burner. The vast majority of cases don't support that. What we do see are ETs who have the ability to sort of step out of the time stream. So we'll have people who are taken on board, will experience an hour or two, 5 hours, a week, some cases, and come back minutes later. I mean, Dolly describes this many times. They do have the ability to sort of see the future a little bit, and certainly look back at the past. And in fact, Dolly goes quite a bit into this sort of thing in the book. There was another lady I mentioned briefly, Wendy. She was one of the first people I ran into as a fully conscious contactee. She had a car accident in Georgia where she was badly injured and pulled on board. And the ETs did a 2-hour-long operation on her and put her back at the scene of the accident minutes later. So this is something that they can do. They do have amazing abilities to, I guess, manipulate time, or I'm not sure even is that the best word. But no, I don't have any good evidence. They're us from the future. I really don't.
So Preston, did you know Dr. Leo Sprinkle, Preston?
No, not personally.
Okay. Well, as you know, he, was a pioneer and contactee and research for over 40 years. And he actually talked about a lot what you're talking about, that a lot of contactees and abductees feel like they have a mission a purpose or a goal that they need to go on. And something also that I wrote a book about him, and I talk about these letters. People would write to Dr. Sprinkle and ask about these dreams that were so real to them that they felt like real. So was it a dream or was it an actual memory? A lot of these missions that people have are just what you've talked about earlier, protecting the planet, getting into, helping the earth and whatnot. But my question actually for you is, through your research, do you think that contactees and experiencers, do you think they're continuously monitored throughout their life? And do they get these kind of download messages where people can learn to differentiate their own thoughts to perhaps an ET thought? And do they give guidance throughout their whole life? Or is it just kind of, little short periods of time?
I think it's through their whole lives. And a lot of people might not be aware of this, but you certainly see an incredible number of synchronicities among contactees. And people will talk about how they met their spouse in very unusual ways. There's almost an ET dating service out there. They're setting things up. And by and large, contactees will tell you that, and you can see this in other researchers as well. We'll tell you that a sense of being observed. And many do feel that they get strong impulses to go in a certain direction, follow medicine. It's not at all unusual for someone to have contact and then become super interested in quantum physics, mathematics. Yvonne Smith talked about that with Jesse and John Long. John Long had a high school education, but became super obsessed with trying to build an energy-free motor and ended up filing patents, which caused a visit from the Department of Defense. So they might have to actually, stop you from talking about this one. So yes, that's absolutely true. People do have dreams. When someone has dreams of contact, there's a couple of things going on here. One, it can be actual full-on contact, live and in person, but the person comes away from it feeling like it was a dream, and aren't fully grasping or remembering what had happened, but are pulling quite a bit of it back. Or they can have a full-on contact and not remember for a day, a week, a month, a year, or longer, and then it comes back in the dream state. Look what happened to Betty Hill. She didn't remember, but in the weeks that followed, she remembered through the dreams, and they were as accurate, if not more so, than the actual hypnotic sessions she had. Wow, she remembered it fully, everything that happened through her dreams.
Wow. So, Preston, I have a question for you. You talked about, maybe it's a dating site and stuff. It makes me think of one of your books, the UFO over drive-ins. Maybe these folks were out there, but they're all out there watching the movies with everybody. What's going on with UFOs over drive-ins? Is that really a thing?
Yes, I'm so glad you brought that up, Tara. God, that freaked me out when I found this out. I mean, it floored me because, you're in the field for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and then you're always learning something new. I'm like, oh, gosh, does this ever end? The high strangeness. Because how it unrolled for me was, I was at work one day. We had a high turnover in our office. And in walks Claudia, who is so, funny and outspoken. And found out I was a UFO researcher, and she comes running up to me. She's like, oh my God, I have to tell you what happened to me at the Paramount Drive-In Theater when I was a kid. And described going there with her, mom and dad and little sister, and a UFO showed up, dropped down right next to the screen. A huge metallic craft, totally silent except for this whooshing noise, and basically cleared out the theater. Oh, man. And I thought, wow, that's strange. That's got to be a one-off. I've never heard of this. But writing books on this subject, I was writing UFOs over Colorado and hit 3 cases in a row. Someone was watching Dr. Zhivago at the Mile High Theater.
I've been there. Might have been me.
Came right down over the screen. And I'm like, wow. And then another one, and they flashed their lights at it, and it flashed back at them. I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. And then a third one. I thought, okay, I'm looking into this. And I went through the 100 books I have, and I'm like, oh gosh, there's not really any in there. But then I started going through the databases and the UFO news clipping service and the magazines, and I started to find a lot. I found 100 cases.
Whoa!
Yeah.
You'd think they would be seen there, just like they are seen. I mean, it's odd that they would just be so blatantly in the open. You know,
It's part of their publicity campaign. I'm telling you, they're doing this over schoolyards as well. I put out a book about
that's
that.
another thing. Yep.
I would think they would enjoy the movie.
Yeah,
I thought about that. I looked at the movies. I'm like, okay, Exorcist, Simpsons movie.
They're like scary
Outlaw
movies.
Josie Wales.
Well, I mean, think about it. That's part of learning about our species, our culture, is to see what we produce.
Might be it, but I decided no, it's not, because they're not usually in front of the screen. They're above it or next to it.
Okay.
Watching people. So ultimately, I came to realize this was a publicity stunt. In fact, they visited this one theater in Canada so often that they put it on their marquee. Want to see a UFO? Come to the drive-in.
Oh my gosh.
And
Wow.
Here's one case which I just have to tell you about real quick, because it sort of typifies this whole phenomenon. This was at the in Bakersfield in 1952, I believe, the Terrace Drive-In, the cigar-shaped craft. They're all different types, usually saucers, but all of them. Comes down, stops right over the screen like they do, flashes its lights like they do, and takes off. This was a real brief one. It's sometimes 20 minutes. They will, release smaller craft. They'll dart around. They will put on a show for you, better than the drive-in movie theater.
Very cool.
So this one takes off, and Sheriff Leroy Hatfield is getting a flood of calls. So he shows up at the Terrace Drive-In and starts interviewing people. There's still 100 people there. Mind you, these are viewed by 200, 300, 400 people at a time. He interviews 30 people, and more want to talk about what happened. But he's like, listen, I've got the gist of it. I'm going to submit a report to the Air Force, which he does. And it's routed to the nearest Air Force base, which was Edwards. And I found this report online, declassified, and it was marked action, written up the next day and sent to the commanding general at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, UFO Central, as you know. So they know about it, despite the fact that they were lying, saying there's nothing to this in the 50s. They knew flat out that this was a thing, and certainly knew about the drive-in theater encounters, because I found others just like this that were sent to the commanding general at Wright-Patterson and Air Force Base in Colorado and head of intelligence at Washington, D.C.
Holy smokes.
Preston, we have a couple of questions. I mean, we're getting tons of questions. I don't think I can go through them all, but Nicole asked, Preston, can you share a few of your experiences with Obi and working in the astral plane?
Hi, Nicole. Sure. Yeah.
Nicole.
All right. This is something that happened to me at the same time I entered this field. And this is why I'm like, okay, this is not a coincidence, because having talked to contactees, a lot of them will start having all these spiritual experiences. And I'm like, well, this is happening to me. It was around 1986, I started having out-of-body experiences, which I vigorously pursued, by the way, reading the literature like Robert Monroe, and got good at it. And it was so, so cool. I mean, the first few experiences were really scary because you feel this buzzing in your body and you pop out and you're like, what's happening? And you see your body in bed and you think maybe you died or something. I mean, it was scary. But after that, it was super exciting. And it took me a year or two of learning how to stay out of my body. So I did write a book about this. I go into the whole process. But after I learned how to stay out and move and see, I was able to travel around, meet, friends and family that could never see me. I was a ghost.
Oh my God.
And eventually made it to the other side. I did have a strong motivation. My mom had passed away in 1984. And I really wanted to know if there was life after death, because she was actually visiting me in my dream state. And I'm like, there's no life after death. This can't be her, but obviously it is. So how am I going to reconcile this? And eventually, I got pulled to the other side, and there she was, looking 20 years old. Oh, you should see me on the other side. My hair comes back. I'm super
Oh, wow.
I can fly.
And the streets are paved with gold.
Oh, it sparkles in a way. And there is life after death. Don't believe me, do it yourself. You will know for sure.
Oh, yeah.
That. And everyone's doing this, by the way.
I don't think I want to commit suicide just to see if I come back, but I'll keep it in mind.
No, you don't have to. That's the point. You don't have to have a near-death experience. All you have to do is relax, meditate. There's exercises. I outline them in my book: physical relaxation, mental relaxation, and then visualizations and affirmations.
And do you find, Preston, that when people astral travel or have a near-death experience or have trauma or whatever, they disconnect from their bodies for whatever reason? There's several reasons why people do this. Do you feel that they then can connect into whether it's spirit beings or ETs or gods? And once they do that, it kind of opens up a channel. Do you believe that that's true?
Yeah. Yeah, in so many words. You go to the other side and you absolutely can talk to what we would call enlightened masters. And boy, being in their presence is mind-blowing because these guys are wise and filled with light and have a love surrounding them that's humbling.
Love it.
Learn about past lives. You can go to healing temples, schools of learning.
Wow.
There's almost nothing you can't do.
It makes me want to ask, then, what is the purpose of us being here? I mean, it sounds so beautiful and wonderful and educational there. Like, did you ever get any downloads or read about anybody who, the ETs kind of explain to us? First of all, how many ETs are there in your research? I've been wanting to ask that before the show is over.
Don't forget.
But, why are we here, humans?
I've became really interested in all this, and this is my opinion. I think we're here to learn. Robert Monroe, my favorite author on the OBEs, says Earth is a school, and it's a tough one, and people who graduate from them are highly respected on the other side.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, yeah.
I hope so, because this is a tough school. Yeah, I think we're here to learn individuality, what pain and loss is, how to love, compassion, how to do all the things that we can't experience on the other side. You'll never know what chicken nuggets taste like unless you taste them here. You just won't.
That's such a good point.
There's all these experiences you can only have here on Earth or in the 3D, realm.
And love can be in both places.
Oh yeah, the love is all encompassing there. I dare you to be in a bad mood. On the higher realms, there's lower realms. I'm learning that recently because I'm reading about people who go to what we would call hellish realms. I haven't experienced it like it is, in the Bible. It's very much heaven. There are animals there. My pet spoke to me. I couldn't believe it, Maxine.
Oh my goodness!
I showed up because she would always be there, or not always, but often. She'd run up to me and I'd pet her, like Maxine. And one time she's like, pounds up to me, she's like, "Hi, Preston."
The animals do talk. The animals do talk.
I believe that's awesome.
I had to, do some research, but I found confirmation I'm not the only crazy person who's experienced this.
Well, Preston, you've written a few books on the paranormal, and I don't know if you would classify that as paranormal, but is there, what can you tell us about the paranormal, and how does that fit in with the UFOs and the orbs and whatever this experience is?
Yeah, well, the paranormal is a misnomer. It's like supernatural. Nothing is breaking the laws of the universe here. It's normal. It really is. We just don't fully understand it. There is a connection here with, as I mentioned earlier, contactees are by and large profoundly psychic, have a wide variety of paranormal experiences. I learned that very early on. And after I improved my interviewing techniques, I started getting the truth about this because people would tell me, yeah, my house is haunted. I am having out-of-body experiences. I did have a near-death experience. I've had channeling episodes. I've healed people, hands-on healing. I see shadow people. By the way, I'm a medium. I levitated following my encounter. I had to ask Dolly that. She did not offer the information. I'm like, I don't suppose you've ever physically levitated. And she's like, well, as a matter of fact.
I think because they were healed completely, maybe their bodies are in a form that allows them to levitate if they're being healed.
I think what's going on here, because I studied this, And there was a couple of cases that really started to bring it home for me. There was a lady in Mount Rainier who had an encounter, and she says, I went to work, I was feeling fluish, it was terrible. But I sat down on my computer and I blew it offline. Called the IT guy, and she's like, fix my computer. And she went to the copier and blew that out. And she's like, after you're done with my computer, copier. And went to the fax machine and blew it out. And I thought, oh my gosh, there's that other lady, and Linda, who describes the same thing. TV's fuzzing up, light bulbs blowing out. She walks under a street light, it goes out. She blew out a whole line of street lights on the street and knew it was going to happen. She's like, watch that street light. I'm going to blow it out. And her boyfriend watched it happen. I think what's happening here is a person's bioelectric field is being strengthened, maybe in some way. There's something going on here that is physically altering a person's physiology that is allowing them to, start seeing ghosts, start having astral projection, start
that makes a lot of
having
sense.
that ability to do hands-on healing. Something's going on.
Preston, I want to ask you, and this is another question from chat, about tinnitus and contactees, because as we were doing a private chat, there's two of us that have bad tinnitus. I have bad tinnitus, and Sarah has bad tinnitus, and we're like, hey, when that question came up,
talking to you guys.
yeah,
Well, tinnitus, it's a thing among a large segment of the population, I think, because we're having a lot of problems with radiation and pollution. So I'm not going to link all of it to contactees, but there does seem to be quite a bit of ear ringing and tones in one ear, perhaps, especially. And that I would point more towards something going on in terms of perhaps an implant. And one case that really brought that home for me was a lady from the East Coast. She moved to California and back a couple of times, but had a real problem with this ringing in her, it was her left ear. And went to the doctor, and he's like, you don't have tinnitus. I'm sorry. She's like, well, is there a bug in there? He's like, I don't see one. And it just was unbearable. And she noticed a pattern. Whenever she was intimate with her husband or expressing strong emotion, it would go off. And finally, she was pulled on board, developed a relationship with this gray who introduced himself as Sen. And she had a long conversation with him, asked him all kinds of questions. And he basically said, oh, yeah, well, that's your brain creating that. But it is connected to the fact that we're mapping your emotions because we're very interested in your emotions.
Yeah, humans
She asked, are you planning on taking over the planet? He said, no, we have zero interest in your planet. You're far too emotional. You're really hard to be around. The planet is far too polluted. You're very aggressive. We have access to many, many planets. We have no need of yours. But yeah, I've had a number of contactees. That happened to Wendy. She'd be like, my implant is going off. I'm like, what do you mean? She says, it rings in my ears.
Right. That's actually brings me to a good question for you, Preston. Through all your research, what are some of the common signs of people who do get abducted? And I do, as somebody in chat mentioned, that most people who have a UFO sighting possibly have had contact or abduction. Do you still believe that that's true? And what are some of the common symptoms or commonalities between abductees?
Contactees is what I call them.
Contactees. Always interchange all three terms.
Yeah.
We're experiencers.
Semantic disaster, honestly. And some people do feel like this is a negative experience for them, and I'm not going to denigrate that because it can be quite traumatic. But there are signs, absolutely. I'm not going to say every person who has a sighting is a contactee. But if you do have a sighting, you can bet dollars to donuts they know it and are showing themselves to you on purpose. I've come to really believe that after talking to enough people, because they'll be pulled outside on an impulse and boom, the UFO shows up, or they're looking at a certain portion of the sky and boom. But the commonalities, the signs are many. And the primary one would be close-up repeated UFO encounters, some involving missing time. Another would be early childhood experiences that are unusual, with perhaps figures coming into your room or unexplained events, paranormal activity of any kind, really, widespread, lots of paranormal events. I would say a strong emotional reaction to this subject, whether it's fear or attraction, unexplained marks on the body, perhaps bruises, scoop mark, unexplained healing, something along those lines. A feeling of being watched, that's very common. Dreams about UFOs and ETs, that's another. Seeing little balls of light, little orbs in your house. A history of encounters in your family, because as you may know, this does seem to be a generational thing, particularly people who have repeated encounters. Fear of intruders. You'll see people having insomnia quite a bit. They don't sleep a lot for whatever reason. So they'll be putting double locks on doors. They might move a lot. They might have been diagnosed with PTSD or having nightmares initially, which usually fades out as they overcome their fear and start having more interactive experiences. I mean, there's a lot of little signs. There's some little tests out there, checklists. You can go down and determine, how many of these boxes you tick.
Yeah, and I believe MUFON has the ERT that does that as well. Yeah. So I checked almost 100% of those boxes, except I sleep really well.
Thank goodness.
Just block it out really good.
Preston, you wrote a book about sightings over New York. Being from New York, I'd like to hear some of the best sightings that you had in New York that you were told.
Yeah. Well, the first one was UFOs over California, which I did because I was based there. But I got a request from the publisher, and they're like, would you like to cover another state? Which one do you think is significant? And I thought long and hard about that. I'm like, well, New York is a pretty influential state in terms of what we think and know about UFOs. And I would point to the research of Bud Hopkins. Whitley Strieber, of course, had a lot of his experiences in New York. There was a very little known case from a book called Malcolm Kent, or a book by Malcolm Kent called The Terror Above Us, which was one of the first reported onboard experiences that was published on the heels of the Betty and Barney Hill case. There was, of course, the 1965 New York blackout, which, if you look into it, is absolutely got a UFO connection. Newspapers were receiving 100 calls from people reporting UFOs all up and down the state.
Yeah.
New York has been really influential in our understanding. Hudson Valley Wave, of course, is one of the top 10 things going on there. A lot is going on in New York. Pine Bush, of course, became a major UFO hotspot. People were traveling there regularly to see UFOs, and they still hold an annual festival. I've interviewed a number of people who had full-on contact. Just recently, a guy from West Corners described a really interesting lifelong series of events. So New York was followed by a number of other books because I wanted to make sure that these accounts weren't being lost to posterity and would be taken seriously. So I wrote them in the style of a history book, if you will, because no one was doing this. I'm really glad
you're right.
People were picking up and now there's a bunch of books about various states. So this is an important subject. Our governments are taking it really seriously and still lying about it to this day.
Why is that? Why are they still lying about it?
God, I wish.
The majority of people believe in it.
Right? Yeah. I think, again, it comes down to a few things. They've lied about it from the beginning. It was well before Roswell. The Battle of LA, the Cape Girardeau crash retrieval incident points towards them knowing about this from a very, from the 1940s, early 1940s, and have been covering it up and lying ever since. I think because initially they're like, wow, we don't know who exactly these guys are. They're clearly more advanced than us. And it interferes with our governments, our secret governments, the cabal, the 1%er, call them what you will. This is not speculation. Just look at the unequal distribution of wealth. There are forces that are basically enslaving all of humanity.
Yeah.
And this is what it comes down to. We have the technology.
Yeah,
we
money,
have
power, control.
healing technology. Look at how much money the pharmaceutical industry makes in profits a year.
It's obscene.
And that would completely destroy that. We have an oil-based economy. What if we didn't need oil? They wouldn't be able to make, again, how much money did they make last year? It was over $1 billion. So this, I think, is what's honestly behind the cover-up, is greed, power, and control.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I agree.
So Preston, I agree with that too, Preston. So we have just about 6 minutes left. You've written so many wonderful books and you cover so many different regions, and you've really done your homework. In some of the books, like the Colorado book too, you go into some of these high strangeness locations. What do you think the attraction is? Is it missile silos? Is it Air Force bases? Is it geology? Why do you think the ETs are attracted to certain areas? Have you made any connections there?
Certainly there are some what we would call UFO attractors. Anything whatsoever nuclear is going to have a sighting over it at some point. I mean, you can track this easily. John Hastings' book, UFOs and Nukes, I would recommend looking into that. There does seem to be certain hot spots, and I can't completely figure it out why. But I would point to the San Luis Valley, Colorado, upstate New York, Sedona, Southern California, the Santa Monica Mountains. It could be that these are areas which are magnetically stable or have stable magnetic field lines, which allow these craft to come in and out and then travel to wherever they're going. Could be some of these areas have bases. I can't say for sure, but certainly there does seem to be areas which do have higher levels of activity. And you mentioned, Katie, we only have a few minutes, and you had a question that I just want to touch real quickly on the types of ETs.
Yes.
Please do.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Mostly grays in my research, 50 to 60 to 70%, but variations of small little AI type grays to tall grays to medium grays to little short biological beings, 100% like us. But next to that would be praying mantis. I get quite a few of those, 6, 7, 8, 9 feet tall, a couple up to 15. They can get quite tall.
Wow.
Call whites, that comes up. Little short blue beings. What else? Human looking. Absolutely quite a few of those. Those are the main categories right there.
Like the Nordics.
You get strange humanoids of every type. And what I think is going on here is if you look at the human race, you will see the incredible variation.
Right.
And that's exactly what we're seeing. They're all humanoids, but they're different, but not that different.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting.
They all seem to be bipedal, don't they?
Yeah. Yep. This is why Dolly wanted to call the book Symmetry, because she asked about this. And this is one of the main lessons they taught her, that there is a symmetry to life throughout the universe.
Yeah.
The human form is universal.
Right.
And you will see it all across the universe.
So
And
Preston, with our few minutes left, are you going to be attending any conferences, or where can people see you this year? I want to mention your website again, and I hope our listeners check out. I mean, there's just whatever your interest in this topic. Preston has a book.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
And they're good.
Please go to his website and check that out. But are you going to be at any events this year where people can see you?
I'm kicking around the idea of going to a couple. I haven't confirmed any at this point, but I usually try to do 1 or 2 a year, and I'll certainly post it on my Facebook page. I also have a YouTube channel. I'm all over social media. If you want to contact me, pretty easy to do, and you can get my books on Amazon. So I've always got stuff going on. I'm putting out my research again on my YouTube channel, so I'm pretty excited about that. Always have books in the works. I've got another on contactee accounts, some on the supernatural as well, another on out-of-body experiences, because the experience
cool.
the last one.
Well, we certainly all appreciate you so much for being here, and we, more than anything, Preston, I appreciate the fact that you go do all this research and you gather all this information and you put it out and you make it available to everybody out there. And that's such important work. And we certainly do appreciate it so much. I mean, wow, I just can't even imagine, as somebody who's been racking my brains and trying so hard to get out just 2,
You're very prolific.
So much work. Like, he must have 9 lives. He's doing all this.
He's a fast typist.
Yeah, you're a fast typist.
I have a secret time machine. That's my
Oh, the ETs,
It only takes 18
ETs are helping Preston. That's what it is.
But we can ask them to help us too, right?
Yeah, we can. I'm going to start doing that, and the healings too. I mean, right?
Hey,
and
everyone is a contactee, really.
Yeah, in 30 seconds or less, what can you give advice for people who do experience contact? Just 30 seconds.
Yeah. Try your best to move past the fear. Recognize that you're fine. This is happening to you. They're not here to hurt or scare anyone. Develop your psychic abilities. That is the major ET agenda at this point. They want us to become telepathic, to really understand our own unlimited abilities. That would be my main message. Move past the fear. You're going to be fine. Do your best to wake up to all that, who you are.
Great advice.
That's good advice for everybody.
Great advice for everybody, and write things down, right? Every detail you can remember. But thank you, Preston, so much for being here. Thank you to all our listeners and everybody in chat. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button. Thank you, Tara Diulis, and thank you, Krista Perno. And I hope that Jerry heals quickly, and I hope we can find Jenna. Oh, poor Jerry.
Poor nose.
And I want a special thank you to our producer, Amanda Curran. Thank you for running the back end. You always do such an awesome job. And thank you to Bill Skywatcher as well. And we will see you all next week, next Tuesday night. And keep looking up and keep reporting those reports to MUFON. We'll see you next week, everybody. Bye-bye.
Stay safe.